Democrats are proud, to fly a flag. Our young kids cherish socialism, some even communism over free markets. And you wonder how this happens, and you realize it's all about history or a lack thereof. And I could almost understand it with the Iron Curtain and the Cold War, because some of these young kids don't know what it was about. But 9/11, you think it's fresh in their minds, but not so, Jill Cohen. Isn't that the case? What's happening here?
I do believe one of the things about 9/11 that I have researched and discovered is that it destroyed a generation. The generation that was in high school at the time, the people who were young enough to understand what was happening, and then they became parents, and they were so scared. 9/11 was a diabolical plan to frighten the American people. And that was achieved quite easily by the first plane, which got us all looking, and the second plane, which devastated us. Were you watching?
I was watching it live, and I saw the first plane hit. And even then, I thought, that's not an accident. It can't be an accident, with a big plane like that. Not a Piper Cub, but a big plane. And then when the second one hit, you knew for sure we're under attack.
For sure.
And it was just devastating.
Right. And that was that is the crux, is that second plane was designed to devastate you.
Right.
And to frighten you.
Well, the interesting thing is it backfired in a sense because it wound up for a short time uniting us all, right? We were never more united than the second year after 9/11. We were one. But that's evaporated to the point now we've got an Islamist socialist, really a Marxist, as the mayor of New York. You have communists and Islamists. Muslim, fine. We love Muslims. We have so many wonderful Muslims throughout the nation. The difference between a Muslim who integrates into America and an Islamist who wants to bring Sharia law and turn us into an Islamic country.
We don't share their values.
No, not there. But that's the Osama bin Laden descendants. And you would think that they'd be pushed off to the ash heap of history. They're gaining momentum here because of our immigration policies and what's not happening in our educational system.
It's called apathy. Apathy is what destroys a nation. And when you don't remember what happened in the past, and when you think, it's over now, let's move on, you're teaching the children that it doesn't matter.
Now, in your book, you're an investigative reporter. Have you gone into the schools? Have you seen what the curriculum is? And are we lacking? Is it something that's been sloughed off to the point where it's just another, part of the curriculum, a quick second, and that's it? Or are we really focusing?
No, not even. I researched it when I was writing my book. I discovered that when teachers, the school year is just starting on September 11th. And sometimes that's the first week of school. And the teachers...
Oh, that's a good point.
The teachers don't want to start the first week of school talking about 9/11.
Because they think it's... I bet part of it, they think it's a downer to the kids. I think part of it, I think they're scared. I think they're scared. It's gone so darn woke now within the schools. Oh, that's Islamophobic. If you talk about the reality and the facts of 9/11, how can you teach it without saying there was an Islamist, Osama bin Laden, who wanted to destroy Western civilization? And they're fearful of doing it because they're worried about ramifications from so many of the Marxists who have now infiltrated our educational system, even in K through 12, right?
Have you seen England? Have you seen Germany?
I know in England, it's just so remarkable now where you see these white English women being raped by the gangs of Pakistanis, and they were so terrified, the authorities, to actually prosecute these people for fear of being called Islamophobic.
For the past 50 years,
yes,
Steve.
It's a disgrace.
50 years of young British women being treated like garbage, being treated like, you know what? I mean, really ruining their lives. Hundreds of thousands of them.
But people think we're immune to it over here in the U.S., and we're not.
We found out on 9/11 we're not.
Right, and we're seeing it spread. So what's your anecdote for this, Jill Cohen, author of
this book.
Like it was yesterday about 9/11.
Yeah.
What do we do as a society?
We talk about it. We start a discussion with our children. You were talking about the teachers who don't want to talk about it.
Right.
Well, let's not forget who those teachers are and how old they are. If they're in their 30s, they were children when 9/11 happened. So they don't want to talk about it because they were terrified.
Yeah.
They had to watch these towers come down. Maybe they know somebody who lost a parent. Maybe they themselves lost a parent or a neighbor. It doesn't matter. It is something that took away our comfort zone and showed us we don't have that. And I think that that age, now I also blame the drug crisis, the fentanyl, all that stuff. That's the generation it hit.
Yeah.
And those are the people whose little children are being raised by their parents.
Right. It is absolutely frightening. But, you know, you talk about the teachers. You got individual teachers are absolutely marvelous. And, you know, most of them are God-fearing, good, loyal Americans. But the teachers' unions, okay, are a whole different matter.
How about the school district, the school board?
Right. The unions are Marxist controlled.
Department of Education.
I mean, there's an avowed Marxist who
propaganda.
heads the Chicago Teachers Association, and they were using taxpayer dollars to activate the kids under social justice and get them to cut school, get on a bus, and go protest and No King's Day. When you have that kind of mentality at the top of our educational system, it's no wonder they don't want to talk about 9/11. It's against their narrative. They want to knock down America so they can start up with their Marxist utopia. And the way you do that is to first destroy the institutions and the values of America and stop talking about 9/11.
That's why I say you got to talk about it. So my book, you know, a lot of people, they want to talk about 9/11 and they want to talk about, well, was it an inside job? Like somebody did this and who did it and what? No, I'm sorry. It's a murder mystery. It will be a murder mystery for as long as we don't know what happened.
Well, how about this candidate? She just won her primary, Marxist candidate, who was asked point blank, were we deserving of 9/11? And were we responsible for it, America? And she basically said, well, yeah, because what we did is we destabilized the Middle East, and then you left the impression to the people there that their only recourse was violence, excusing 9/11, and they are now being elevated. You would have thought that's disqualifying, right, Jill?
Yes, absolutely. And then we heard the communist mayor of New York City, and I'm not going to call him socialist.
No,
Democrat
you're right.
because
He's a commie.
Sheep and wolf.
He
I'm
is
sorry,
a
wolf in
Marxist.
sheep's clothing.
That's
What
right.
that is.
That's
so
right.
the communist mayor then stood up and said, "We think we're great in America because we're so rich and powerful." Do you think we're great because we're rich and powerful? Are you rich and powerful? I'm not rich and powerful.
Well, you know, regardless of whether someone is or isn't, the beauty of this country is our Constitution.
Our freedom, that's what we
And
love.
our freedom. And, you know, I talk about it all the time. I'm going to talk about it in a future segment here. The 1619 Project by Nicole Hannah Jones from the New York Times wrote the book. It's now in 4,000 schools saying that United States, America was founded to create a slave colony, not for freedom, to create freedom, but to create a slave colony. And that's what our kids are learning, Jill. We got a minute.
I did not know that.
You're going to write a sequel now, I hear, right? Tell us about it.
Well, I have to write a sequel because writing this book, I learned so much. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to go further with it. You know, there's telling people about 9/11, but then there's also telling people stories about people their age, the 20s years old, and how they reacted.
30 seconds. Where do people find you, your podcast, and get your book?
So go to jillbooks.com. That's Jill writes books, so it's JILLBOOKS. And you can watch my podcast on YouTube and on Facebook at The Beach Report. The Beach Report with Jill Cohen.
Oh, this is great. You know, I'm so glad you're here because the folks out there get it. They know we have to make sure our kids never, ever forget. And as long as we have someone like investigative reporter Jill Cohen, they never will. Thank you, my dear, for joining us. And thank you for all of your people joining us in, too, on the podcast. We'll be back soon. That was great.
And we're out.
And we got to
great
play.
too.
We've been doing this for
Oh,
a
it was
while.
a good banter.
Absolutely,
Going
good
on.
back and
Yeah,
forth.
yeah,
Yeah. So
All
we're
right, so
happy.
we've established the flow.
Yeah. And I have your contact when I'm down in Fort Lauderdale. I'll give you a buzz.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do an interview on the beach.
That's a
'Cause that's where
plan.
we work, right, guys? Yeah, we go to Ocean Manor often.
Oh, it's a great place
That's
to
my
be.
favorite,
We only go.
my favorite beach.
It's awesome. We only go in the winter because in the summer we love it here.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah, yeah. But we get the rental coming in, and we love it. So,
Snowbird.
yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. So it's wonderful.
No, but I
and-
love the snowbirds. I really do.
Yeah.
I love it when everybody comes down and visits. It's so much fun. I love all the foreigners too. I love to hear the languages from all over the world.
Well, they're all here for the World Cup, and they're loving America. Unlike
sure. And they're
unlike
loving
what they're
our-
being told on their media.
Yes, exactly. They're all surprised that
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
such
yeah.
nice people.
Well,
We
that's
are
good.
the nicest people in the world, honestly.
Well, we're gonna share information between the two of us so that you guys can see my podcast and my folks can see Jill's. And that'll be-
Exactly, yes.
Is that a deal?
That's how we work.
That's a deal.
You have to work together with people who share the same values and the
Yeah.
same goals.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, what are you doing?
Well, I don't know if you want to keep it rolling for when I do my next gigs,
course, of
but
course.
you're welcome to. Guys, do you want to just zoom in on me on these next ones? Do you want? Is it okay for Jill to remain here, or
What do you want me to do?
what do you
Hello,
want?
you
You want
there?
to clear it?
Wait, what's
Well,
going on?
I'm going to talk on my own for the next 3 segments.
Okay.
So, should we make it just my seat here, or can you just focus in on me?
Is Jill getting up?
Well, let me do one more segment. You want to stay on for one more segment? All right. I'm going to get into the slavery stuff. You're going to have to bear with me on this.
Okay.
But, it's
I'm
kind of
interested
dubbed.
to hear you,
It's
Steve.
segued. All right.
I like this. The good stuff.
We'll
He's
keep
a
her for
great
one more.
guy. Yeah.
Okay,
Doing
good.
One more here. But I'm going to
You guys wanna
show.
stay for one more segment? Okay.
We're going to, I'm going to talk.
I love Jill. She makes life so simple. You're so sweet. This is so fantastic as always. Thanks for sharing.
30 seconds.
You got it.
Great. They love you. They always love me. These are the nicest people in the whole
That's
world.
cool.
I don't know what I would do without you guys.
So this is Joe. Yeah, have you
Yeah.
met Joe yet?
Have I met Joe?
Oh, okay, you have. Okay.
Oh my God, he's like my new best friend.
He's
I
a
just
great, he's
adore
a
him.
great guy.
The coming here actually has changed my life.
10,
I just
seconds.
really feel like I have.
You got to
met
let him know that.
6,
We're
5,
coming in, we're
4,
coming in.
3, 2, 1, and you are live.
All right, we're back, folks. Steve Levy here on the On the Right Side podcast, coming to you live every Wednesday, 4 p.m. at the America First Warehouse. We got to give a shout out to Joe the Box, the amazing proprietor who makes this all possible. This truly is a museum for patriots here on Long Island. If you're ever in the neighborhood, you have to check it out. I'm here with Jill Cohen, who's the author of Like It Was Yesterday about 9/11, making sure we never forget. So I want to have you, Jill, just talk to the people out there about how this hit you when you got into this amazing warehouse, what you saw and what you thought about it.
Oh my gosh. So I show up, my dear friend Jamie Crow, she's telling me, the Great American Warehouse, you gotta go. Well, I gotta take you there. It's gonna be so great. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what to expect. Like literally, I'm flying blind on this. I didn't do any advanced research because I'm always doing all this stuff and it was a little much for me. So anyway, I walk in and I feel like I'm going to pass out with happiness. It's like I'm home.
It's a happy place. It
It's
really
a happy
is.
place. It feels so comfortable to be here. You know, you go through the world, and when you are a podcaster and a conservative, you get a lot of hate. You know
Yeah,
how
yeah,
it
no
goes.
doubt. You get shadow banned on top of the hate.
On top of that, yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
And to come in here is like coming to a warm blanket.
Well, thank you, Joe the Box, for making it possible. So we do all of our podcasts out of this Mecca, and we bring in amazing guests. Besides Jill, we've had Rudy Giuliani, Kellyanne Conway, from Newsmax, Greg Kelly. We've had Tom Homan, the head of Border Patrol. So many outstanding people. General Flynn. It's like a party here every week. So you could always tune in on the America First Warehouse TV and Media. See all of our stuff on the America First Warehouse, and then just click on to our live streams and our former shows. And thank you, Joe. So we were talking in the last segment. You were only planning to be here for one, but I asked you to stay for another one because I wanted to segue. We're talking about your book, like it was yesterday, how we're not teaching history properly to our kids. They're forgetting about 9/11 already, folks. And it underscores why when you poll these younger people, they're not proud to be Americans. Democrats are not proud to wave the flag. So many of these younger people and Democrats are supporting Marxists over traditional candidates, and you wonder why. And a lot of it has to do with the garbage that we're feeding our young people through TikTok or whatever. And one of the things that they're going on now is to try to envelop the whole history of America through the lens of slavery. And they're doing this because they understand it's a huge stain on our nation. It's got to be done. It's a horrible, horrible thing. But they make it sound like, Jill, that slavery was invented here in America, when the fact is it wasn't invented here. It was everywhere since the beginning of time. It started to end here. This is where it started to end, in England and in America. So expand upon that a little bit, and then I'm going to recite some interesting information from an article that was written in the Washington Examiner from a great columnist, David Harsanyi, about how that whole narrative about America as a slave colony is bogus. But go ahead. What are your thoughts on what we can do with our educational system, just like with 9/11, to combat this?
Yeah, well, I'm noticing that teaching children has really changed in a way that they don't look at education the same as they used to. For instance, they no longer teach cursive writing.
Right, correct.
And if you don't teach cursive writing, you actually take away a child's ability to learn how to do fine motor skills, to contextually read, writing is a connection between the brain and the hand. It doesn't work with the keyboard. Mm-hmm. And we're watching this AI teaching children how not to read, how not to use their minds. Oh, we'll tell you everything. Yeah. Oh, don't worry about it.
And they stopped using phonics in a lot of the schools.
Yeah.
The reading scores went down. Mm-hmm. Some of the states like Mississippi started using them. Again, their reading scores are going way up. It's
how
just
about
common
the
sense.
New math?
Right.
Yeah, who could use the new math? Then we had kids graduating from high school who couldn't read, couldn't write, couldn't do arithmetic. They don't even know what sex they are.
Well, that's by design from the Marxists. But the students, because of DEI, entering Harvard now, they have to have whole sessions for remedial reading and math just to get them up to, high school level so that they can take the courses. And that's why they diluted all the grades. It's now 65% of everybody who goes into Harvard's getting an A. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I talked about slavery, and there's this, I don't know if I mentioned it in the last segment or if we did it offline, but Nicole Hannah Jones from the New York Times wrote this book, The 1619 Project, in 4,000 schools now, trying to indoctrinate American children that we're all about slavery. And there's a big debate going on right now because the president rightly is pushing back against what you see in the Smithsonian when you go in there, how woke it has become. In fact, what they're now doing is when they reference a founding father, like Benjamin Franklin, it's not all the wonderful things he did, okay? Discovering electricity. It's not that. It's how the discovery of electricity was brought about through slave labor. It's something, that's the way they do it.
That's the way they do it, is they take something like that and they twist it so it no longer means what it should mean. So, for instance, when you're teaching children, like you're saying, well, you don't need to know this and you don't need to know that, you are enslaving them. When you take a child and you give them everything they want, like in a way that doesn't teach them how to get what they want, You say, you can't do that, you're too messy, I'll do it for you. You're telling them they can't do it for themselves.
You're
That's
lowering standards
creating
and
a slave.
expectations.
But yes, lowering expectations, but also denying that person their ability to take
Well,
care of
Marxists
themselves.
don't want them
They don't.
educated or independent.
Right.
They want them educated only with the Marxist propaganda so that they become dependent
To be rule
on the
followers.
state. Absolutely,
And
100%
also to be
right.
very worried about, what does everyone think about me?
Right.
You know, how do I look? What am I doing? Oh, my skin doesn't look like that person's skin, so we're not the same.
Well, you know, I'm so glad the president's pushing back in our institutions, in the Smithsonian and others, where they feel, where they're pushing the gender nonsense, where they're pushing open borders, where they're pushing that America was founded as a slave nation. He also has this project that Commissioner McMahon in education is trying to push throughout our schools, and maybe it's something that you can dovetail into your next book. It's called the 1776 Project.
I've heard of it.
Right, and you know, they want to establish this basic line of curricula throughout the nation where our young people are learning civics, are learning about how amazing America is, learning about how capitalism works and its advantages over communism, that you look at North and South Korea at night. South Korea is this lit up, bustling place, and North Korea is totally dark. You know, we have to be
Didn't
teaching
we learn
this.
that when we were in school?
We did.
Hello?
We
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
But the 7-year-olds today are not.
Well, also, it's because their teachers are those kids who grew up during 9/11.
Yeah, and some of
There's a
the
correlation.
some of those teachers grew up in the radical 60s, like a guy like Bill Ayers, right?
That
Who was,
also, yeah.
you know, a radical weather underground guy who was blowing up buildings and trying to kill cops. You know, this guy, what happens to him? He becomes a professor in Illinois, and he becomes a mentor to Barack Obama. Angela Davis, another one who was involved in all kinds of violence, she gets a professorship at UCLA. That's where these radicals went, and they've poisoned and indoctrinated a whole generation.
And I want to point something else out. Let's not forget the Clintons and how they actually, I would say, instituted slavery themselves with the Haitians. Have you ever met a Haitian?
Oh, many, yeah.
And how do they feel about the Clintons? Have you ever talked to the Haitians about
You know,
the Clintons?
I never put two and two together. I know Bill Clinton formed this alliance with George W. Bush after the big earthquake there.
Right.
And I remember them going on TV and raising billions and
Billions.
billions of dollars. Oh, we're going to save Haiti, right? Billions of dollars were raised. Billions of dollars were pumped into Haiti.
NGOs
Did nothing.
all.
It's just as corrupt. It's just as poor. It's just as violent as it ever was, to show you folks, money don't mean a damn thing sometimes, right?
Well, no, because money isn't real and time is an illusion. I'm just saying.
When it's siphoned and wasted and corrupted that way, it really is sad. That's why all of these liberals think, oh, just pump more money into the school system and we'll raise scores. No, it doesn't. It just goes into a black hole of administration, right?
Well, how about the fact that we just found out that we've been fleeced for trillions of dollars and didn't even know it?
That's it. Between the learning centers in Minneapolis.
The Leering
and
Centers.
the Leering Centers, right. That's referencing the sign that misspelled learning into Leering. And they got funded, by the way. And then you have hospice
1 minute.
in California and New York, Medicaid and Medicaid fraud in Illinois. It's disgusting. I hope Vice President J.D. Vance is going to be able to really doge this out and save us some money for the people who really need it.
Well, we know it happened. So
right.
we got to fix it. Some heads got to roll.
But instead of Democrats saying, hey, yeah, this is a problem, we've got to fix it, they immediately go on the defensive and say, oh, you know.
What about Trump? What
about Trump? And the same way that in England they refuse to do anything because being scared of being called Islamophobic, they do the same thing with the Somalis up in Minnesota.
20
We
seconds.
can't do anything about this because we might look Islamophobic. 10 seconds.
It's about fear. Stop being afraid. Don't be afraid to stand up and say how you feel.
What a way to end that segment. Jill Cohen, Like it was yesterday about 9/11. Get that book, folks. We'll see you.
Jillbooks.com.
See you in 2 minutes. Great stuff. All right, that was good. It was worth doing the extra one.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
All right. So you guys are going to make this just a single chair now, right, for these next
So
two
I
sessions? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, perfect.
I'm gonna make
Thank
like
you,
a
everybody
tree
out
and
there.
leave.
I'll move a little bit.
What?
I'm back.
Oh,
He had to get his pearly whites in there.
I
Should I
gotta
move
give
over?
a quick hug
Oh,
to
listen.
you.
Oh,
Are
you're
amazing.
sweet.
You
Thank
are
you.
so great.
Oh,
I
thank
can't
you,
wait to
thank-
work with you.
That would be wonderful.
And see you at Ocean Manor.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll compare our list,
Totally,
and
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
build
no.
you build, we'll build each other's list.
We're friends
We
now.
got- All right, thank you,
Good.
Joe. All right,
Okay,
honey.
Thank
Thanks.
you so much.
Great to see you.
Great Steve Levy. Yes, Gary. The great Gary.
Let me get you over more.
Yeah, you need to be more to the center.
Yep, he's doing it right now.
Okay, come on, sit.
We're there. We're there.
Steve, also fix your ear comm. It's not over your ear anymore. It's kind of fell to the side.
Fell to the
Just
side.
stick
Hold
it
on.
over
Hold
the
on.
ear.
Hold on. Get me
There you
on
go.
this. Oh, I see that. Yeah. That's because I got weird ears, man. Really weird ears. It's nevertheless in there. So I hear you. We're good. Oh, there's Gino. Gino and Downey. Who's the guy with Gino? Who's the guy in the middle with the beard there? You see it? You hear me, Bill? Bill's going in and out. All right. I can't believe it. Just went dead. Okay. Thank God I got this.
That thing always goes dead.
It does. It goes dead so fast when I don't have the plug in there. And I have to find out. Here we go. 30 dozen laws press release. I got it. Where am I looking? Straight on? Oh, here we go. In the back. Okay. Got it. Yep. Got it.
Looks good. Ten seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're live.
Hey, folks, welcome back. The America First Warehouse here. This is Steve Levy, your co-host of the On the Right Side podcast, coming to you live every Wednesday at 4 p.m. And we just had a really great 2 segments with a wonderful new friend, Jill Cohen, who wrote that amazing book on 9/11, May We Never, Ever Forget. And we segued into how the Marxists are now trying to destroy America. And it goes back to the book Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky. And really, it also goes back to Marx himself with his writings that Marxists believe you have to, in order to take over without a military intervention, you take over from within. And the first thing you have to do is destroy all the institutions, create a sense of chaos, end a sense of patriotism and loyalty from the average American to the country so that they can make people fed up with what they have and to seek something else. And they think they're going to swoop in and have the basis upon which to create their new utopia. It never works. Didn't work in Venezuela. It didn't work in Cuba. Didn't work in Eastern Europe. It didn't work in North Korea. It never works. And yet they keep on coming back with the definition of insanity, trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Long story short, what they're trying to do now is just poison the thoughts of Americans on their country by claiming we are hopelessly racist, Islamophobic, homophobic, misogynist, you name it. And what they do is through the Smithsonian and through the curriculum, like the 1619 Project, is try to instill within children that we're a bad racist nation, that had slavery. We were invented for slavery. It was invented here, and therefore you should hate America and try something new. I started to talk about this article from David Hassani from the Washington Examiner. And here are some talking points for you folks when people say that America is hopeless because slavery was here and it was invented here, et cetera. Here's some things to keep in mind, okay? Nowhere does it mention that Athens, which was the birthright of democracy, okay, had more slaves than they did regular citizens. This was, thousands of years before America was ever formed. Nowhere does it say that Africans, black Africans, were victimized by black tribes in Africa who helped swoop them up and sell them to not only the transatlantic slave trade that came to North and South America, but also to other parts of Africa, to Europe, and to Asia, all right? There were about 1.7 million people who were swept up in this from the 7th to the 20th century through the Muslim, through the Arab world, okay? There was no mention that Saudi Arabia had still legalized slavery into the 20th century, or that China had slavery up until the year 1910. And we all know that they continue with a form of slavery with the type of concentration camps that they employ now with the Uyghurs, which is, ironically enough, are Muslims. They don't want any kind of Islamist Muslim flare-ups in China, so they put them in concentration camps. Where is the left criticizing that? Again, they'll say slavery started here and we created it. Well, we didn't. We were the ones who tried to stop it. England was the first back in the 1830s. And then there was great momentum from some of our more liberal minds here, liberal in a good way, in America to try to ban it. And when that didn't work, we had the moral fiber to say, we're going to stop this by force. And 700,000 Americans perished in that war to free the slaves. I don't know of any other country that did that sacrificed 700,000 of their people to free slaves. We weren't perfect. It was a stain on our society, but it didn't start here. It wasn't invented here. It was the end of slavery started here. That has to be understood a little bit more. So now you've got these people trying to degrade America, and they do it through the slavery hitch. But now you've got the Marxists who are taking control of many of our inner cities. So we saw last week in the middle of this heat wave, it was hilarious. You had Mamdani, the Marxist mayor, get on TV and say, we want everyone to keep their thermostats at 78 degrees. Now, why do I say this? It's because this is the standard Marxist sense of control. They want you, me, the riffraff, to sacrifice for the whole, okay? But we all know that the oligarchy, Bernie Sanders uses the word oligarchy as these rich guys like Elon Musk. That's not the oligarchy. The oligarchy are the small group of people in the socialist world who write the rules for everyone else but don't live by those same rules. That's what Marxism is everywhere. Cuba, North Korea, in the old Soviet Union, in China, you have the riffraff living under these restraints that are imposed by the oligarchy, the Communist Party themselves, but the Communist Party members don't have to abide by those rules or those laws. Examples, right? These Marxists want gun control. They don't want the average cowboy out there to be tooting a weapon. They'll say, ban all guns, except for the guns that are possessed by their bodyguards who protect them 24/7. They will tell you and me that we can't send our kids to a private school. Okay, everyone's got to go to the public school and there'll be no funding of the private schools. But they don't send their kids to the public school. They have the wherewithal to send their kids to the private school, but they stop you from having that option if you can't afford it yourself. Then they say they want you to stop eating beef. The AOC literally said this. Stop eating beef because raising cattle creates all these cow farts and methane, and it's poisoning our atmosphere and our environment. But they're the ones who hop on the private jets with all of the high carbon footprint to get from one climate conference to the next. They tell you, stop using your car. Go in the crime-infested, hot, sweaty subways. We're not going to protect you. We're going to let people fare evade and push you onto the subway with no recourse. But we need you to do that for the better good. But we get driven around in our limos by our chauffeurs. Now, have you ever heard of the word limousine liberal? That's what a limousine liberal is. A person driving around being chauffeured in their private limo while they tell you to go on the subway or use the mass transit bus system, okay? It's this hypocrisy from top to bottom with all of these Marxists. So, here's a good one. They want Medicare for all, right? Medicare for all. Remember this when they tell you that. Number one, Medicare doesn't work from a cost perspective. The reason Medicare survives, you only get 90 cents for every dollar spent on Medicaid. There's a $10 gap there that we lose money. The reason it survives is because everyone else's insurance gets their rates hiked up to make up for that difference. But that's a side note. The bigger thing with the Medicare for all is that, remember Obamacare. Congress passed Obamacare for so many millions of Americans with all of the limits of what doctor you can go to and how long it's going to take and this and that. But get this, most people don't realize this. Congress exempted itself from the restrictions of Obamacare. I'm not making that up, folks. That's actually happened. So we come full circle. Mandami wants to tell you you have to keep your thermostat at 78 degrees. But then a reporter from the New York Post went in undercover into City Hall and found out that almost every agency in City Hall had the AC blaring to well below the 78 degrees. So we know this already. With Marxists, it's rules for thee, but not for me if I am an oligarch running the show in the Marxist channel. Okay, so you got to stay with this, folks. It's really, really remarkable. We're going to come back in the next session, and we're going to talk a little bit about Mandami and him taking credit for, we had a press conference. We balanced our budget. We proved that socialism works, and we're bringing crime down. We're proving that socialists do it better than the capitalists and, the old establishment who dropped this on our lap. We're going to talk about that. And I may have a little time to get into this article I just wrote on the 12 worst laws in New York State. Hang on to your hat with that one, folks. It really is an amazing expose of these crazy laws that make it so unaffordable to live in this state. So bear with us on the Right Side podcast. I'm Steve Levy, your guest host, and we'll see you back in 3 minutes.
And we're out.
Okay, I didn't realize I'm a guest host, but that's okay. Called myself that.
Is that what you call yourself?
I called myself
didn't
a
even
guest
notice
host.
that.
You're guest host.
You know what? Everyone talks about rules for radicals, but no one ever talks about the Cloward-Priven strategy.
The what? I didn't hear that one.
You never heard of it. So
No.
in 1966, there were two sociologists, Cloward and Priven,
Oh, yeah, sure.
and their whole idea was to destroy the system, tear it down so they can give everyone free stuff.
Right.
You know, and it's really that's what they did. They're going to milk the system so bad that it just collapses.
Yep.
It's incredible.
All right, one more segment here. All right, we back? No, we got 2 minutes.
$25 seconds.
Let me tell you what it is.
10 seconds.
Okay.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're live.
Hey, folks, welcome back to our last segment here today of the On the Right Side podcast, coming to you from the America First Warehouse on Long Island. I'm Steve Levy. I'm a former Suffolk County executive, former New York State assemblyman, and the executive director of the fiscally conservative think tank Center for Cost-Effective Government. If you want to check out any of my writings, my commentary that might appear in Newsmax or Washington Times or Washington Examiner and many other places, go to the stevelevy.info website. You could also go to centerforcosteffectivegovernment.org. And we do a lot of white papers within our center. The one I just finished was the 12 worst laws in New York State. And it shows you how unaffordable we are in New York because of these crazy laws. I think I'm going to park that for this session and put maybe a whole hour dedicated to it next week. So tune in then, and you're going to hear about these really insane laws, most of which are unique to this state, and which is why blue states like Illinois, New York, California, New Jersey, the cost of living is so much higher unnecessarily. So in these last few minutes here, I want to do a hodgepodge of things that have come up that are hot issues right now, just to flick them off. One is Iran. A lot of stuff happening this morning over the last 2 days. We know these guys are horrible. It's a horrible government. And I was taken aback that President Trump took this long, gave them so many chances. I hope the deal is off. we gave them a lifeline with a deal that I didn't like and many other people didn't like. I'm kind of glad that the stupid Iranians didn't take it, because it would have given them hundreds of billions of dollars only for them to turn around and use it against Israel, other allies, and us. They'll build a bomb and they'll use it on us if they get it with that money. So they're so stupid, though. They kept on attacking the ocean line, the oil tankers in the strait, and at some point Trump, he said, "You're trying to make me look like a chump and a fool. That's it. The ceasefire is over. Now we go to the next phase." And I've been calling for this for so long. Knock out their bridges, knock out their industrial base, their oil supply. Don't worry about the Iranian people. That will give them the signal it's time to revolt. Put them into chaos. They already don't have the internet. Get them an internet in some way, you working with Elon Musk. Let's finish this job once and for all and have some peace of mind in that regard. And by the way, Mr. President, while we're at it, don't give those aircraft weapons to Turkey. Turkey is horrible. Erdogan is a thug. He's an Islamist. He's not only anti-Israel, he's not pro-American. He's totally transactional, and as long as you give him something, he'll be with you for a while, but in the end, he's going to be with Iran. He's going to be against us. Don't give him and Turkey more power, because it will come back to bite us, okay? Couple of other things to talk about. You've been following the Plattner collapse over in Maine, the Senate candidate. What's really remarkable about this, folks, is how the Democrats have been exposed as the hypocrites that they are. These were the Me Too guys, right? You have to believe all women. When it came to Brett Kavanaugh or anything else, accusations against Trump. But if the accusation is against a fellow Democrat, whether it's Swalwell in California or Plattner, they only turn on them when their favorite people, Plattner and Swalwell, go down in the polls and are going to affect them politically in the negative. That's exactly what happened here. You had accusation after accusation. They didn't care. It's only now that they said, he's going to lose to Collins. We got to get him out and replace him with somebody. So hypocritical, so shallow. Now, listen, I'm the first one to say this Me Too stuff was crazy. No, you shouldn't believe all women, because some of them lie. You shouldn't believe all men. You should believe evidence. You should believe facts and where it leads you. Tawana Brawley lied about a rape. The woman in the Duke lacrosse team episode lied about a rape. These things happen. People lie. You have to look at it on a case-by-case basis, and no one should be thrown out based on a mere accusation, okay? But with Plattner, it was one after another, after another, after another, after another. And it was just so funny to watch the Democrats, hey, nothing to see here, until they saw he was losing in the polls. Get him out of here. Just amazing, amazing hypocrisy, okay? Here's another one. Did you see, talk about hypocrites. Ro Khanna, who is one of the most loathsome Democrats. This guy is so ambitious. He's a congressman from Silicon Valley in California. He wants to be president. He loves to go on any talk show, including, he'll be on Fox a lot, you know. He thinks he's going to charm you and get his name out there. And his new thing, he wants to run for president. He wants to woo the left-wing base. So he's decided to jump on the Bernie Sanders AOC bandwagon, attack the rich, right? Attack Elon. Trillionaire? We can't have trillionaires. This is outrageous. So Ro Khanna goes around saying, do you know if we put a 5% tax, asset tax, on Musk, we could fund this, and we can fund that, and we can fund all these scholarships and all these testing for women, blah, blah, blah. And then it's unveiled, folks. I'm not making this up. Him and his wife have a net worth of anywhere from $300 to $500 million. He's a half a billionaire, this guy. And he's saying we have to, tax the rich. What the hell are you? You're making, you have $500 million, half a billion dollar net worth. You're exempt, but you can tax the guys who are making more than you. Wow, mind blowing. Someone's got to ask Ro Khanna, hey, if you were taxed 5%, think of all the hospitals we can fund and the scholarships we can fund. I think this guy might have cooked his own goose by being so out there and hypocritical. Hey, here's another thing we've got to talk about. AI, okay? There's a new movement, right in New York State and a bunch of other states, to put a moratorium on the creation of new AI data centers. People are concerned, well, we don't know what the effects are. They take a lot of energy. Okay, I get it that you want to find out who's paying for the energy. I have no problem with saying you want to create that AI center, you pay for the energy. That has to go with it. But you got to be careful because it's been proven now that the Chinese Communist Party is starting to funnel money in to a lot of these protesters here in America, and specifically to a lot of these civic associations that are not in my backyard civics, going to their town halls who are with the protests and the picket saying, we don't want that AI center to be built. Now, the rationale behind the Chinese is that if we are able to stop these AI centers from being built within the United States, and there's a gap there, we're going to fill it. And the danger we face, folks, is this is going to happen whether you like it or not. It's going to happen whether Bernie Sanders likes it or not, and he and AOC don't want AI. But here's the problem. If China wins this race, they control us. So it's going to be built. It's going to develop. We better maintain control, just like in the 1940s. Albert Einstein, who was a so-called pacifist, didn't want to get involved in any way with an atomic weapon, realized if we don't do it, the Nazis are going to do it. And better to have us in control of this horrible weapon than the Nazis. We're really at that point all over again. Do you want the Chinese, the communist Chinese, in charge of AI and all the power that comes with it? Or do you want America in charge as the leaders? It's a no-brainer, folks. We have to stop this irrational opposition to these AI centers. We're going in that direction anyway. Don't hamper ourselves and give China the leg up on that. It is really, really scary as to what that can result in. So I want to just prime you a little bit for next session's content. We're going to be talking about those 12 worst laws in New York State. And what you'll find in the expose that was presented by my Center for Cost-Effective Government is that there is a correlation between the states that have the strongest municipal unions and the states that have the highest property taxes, the highest spending output. And if you want to get control over spending and taxes, you first have to get control over these unions, because these municipal unions, sometimes they're wonderful, they do good things, sometimes they act like a mafia. And one of the things that we're looking at now in our center, and we're going to publish a white paper on this, is the questionnaires that are provided to candidates from these leftist groups. And they will have you commit to the most outlandish, crazy bills on spending, on culture, on social matters. And then once you check off the box, yes, I'll support that because you want their support, their legwork, their donations, you're locked in. And that's why you have people in New York who just passed a bill, believe it or not, that said you can no longer use the word mother and father in New York. You have to use the term gestating parent. How does that happen? It's these questionnaires. And we're going to talk about that at the next session that we have on this podcast on Wednesday, 4 o'clock, right here at the America First Warehouse. It's been a pleasure speaking with you for another session. Steve Levy, signing off.
And we're out.